Part 38. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 371. Xuanhuan said, "They won't be sitting in the carriage all the time. Let's find a chance to leave, but they seem to be on their way and won't leave the carriage for a while. We have already arrived in the inner continent, and we are not in a hurry to go out. Let's study the map and see which city Luoluo wants to put his identity in. They need to get identity cards, otherwise it will be too convenient." Luoluo looked at the map Xuanhuan opened, and his eyes fell on the southern continent of the inner continent. "Since we arrived at the southern continent first, let's leave our identity in the southern continent. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome to go to other continents. We can't just go around like this," Luoluo said while watching. "Okay, Luoluo, let's see which city in the southern continent you like." Xuanhuan also planned this. For the two of them, it doesn't matter which continent or city their identities are in. After all, nowhere is their home. Wherever they want to settle down in the future, they can just change their ID badge. Luoluo looked at the map of the southern continent carefully, pointed to a place and said, "This city is closest to Xuanhuan Palace. Leave your identity here. Her goal is to go to Zhangtian, and Xuanhuan Palace is the place she must pass through. It is close and convenient to Xuanhuan Palace." Xuanhuan followed her finger and saw that Xianxia failed to choose the city closest to Xuanhuan Palace in the southern continent, Xiangyang City. "Okay, we'll settle here." Xuanhuan felt that the city he had chosen was very good, and it would be very convenient no matter whether he changed the address in the future. "We have to pass through 6 cities to go to Xiangyang City, and the distances are not close." Luoluo looked at the distance and said, "The area of the inner continent is much larger than that of any continent in the outer continent, so the distance between cities is also very far. It just so happens that we can inquire about your parents and master while walking, and if you have the chance, you can make your medical skills famous." Xuanhuan made a plan. Seeing that he was only thinking about himself, Luoluo asked, "Aren't you in a hurry to go to the Ji family's inheritance place? Didn't Xuanhuan say that the Ji family's inheritance is in the southern continent?" Xuanhuan shook his head. "Before, I thought that we could come to the higher continent and our cultivation strength was strong enough. I wanted to accept the inheritance as soon as possible. But the experiences of the past few days have made me understand that the strong people of the higher continent it's everywhere. Our current cultivation level is nothing. I'm afraid the Ji family's inheritance is not that simple. It would be safer for me to wait until my cultivation level increases." Xuanhuan has a plan in mind, but it has not been finalized yet, so he did not tell Luoluo. Luoluo nodded when he heard the words, "Anything can happen in this world. There are many things beyond our imagination after coming here. It is right to be cautious and fully prepared." Xuanhuan looked outside and saw the direction of the carriage in the wilderness. It looked like the carriage would not stop for a while. "Since we are in space, I don't want to waste time and am going to go into the palace to practice." "Where is Luoluo?" Xuanhuan asked. Luoluo thought for a moment. She really should go to practice to improve her cultivation and combat strength, and then said, "I will go in and practice too." Even if she is practicing in the palace, she can still sense the situation outside the space. If the opportunity is right and she can leave, she will leave first. As for when and how long the two of them will practice, it depends on the specific situation. Since they both wanted to experience it, the two of them came to the palace together. Luoluo opened a door. After Xuanhuan entered, she came to another door and opened it. As soon as she entered, Luoluo felt a murderous aura coming from inside. She immediately became vigilant. She held the Changling gun that had not been used for a long time in her hand. She blocked the murderous aura from the attack as soon as she raised the gun. Then the murderous aura gradually increased. The difficulty of training is also increasing, and spiritual energy is consumed very quickly. Because they are all raids, it is an excellent place to accumulate combat experience. Yan Xianglou jumped into the battle excitedly. Zhizhong had already come in for training once and had some understanding of the training situation inside. However, after coming in this time, he found that the training for him had changed again. Zhizhong suddenly understood that this training place not only tested his cultivation level and combat skills, but also his state of mind. Perhaps it was because he had calmed down this time and was determined to improve his cultivation. His state of mind was different from the last time he came in, so the difficulty of the experience this time was much stronger than the last time. It turns out that experience changes based on a person's state. The more this happens, the stronger Zhizhong's fighting spirit will be. Only in this way can he get real experience, and he can get twice the effect in the same time. The carriage sped away outside the space, and both people in the palace were experiencing experiences beyond their own strength. So that Yan Xianglou ignored where the carriage outside had arrived. Did it stop and was there a chance to leave? After several experiences of depleting and replenishing her spiritual power, she finally felt like she had advanced. She didn't even know how many days she had been practicing. Although there is day and night in space, there is no difference in the palace of experience. The promotion could not be carried out in the palace, so she came out of the palace and immediately sat cross-legged to start the promotion. Zhizhong continued to practice inside, and this time he practiced longer than the last time. Yan Xianglou was shrouded in the light of promotion. The promotion was faster than she imagined. Soon she broke through to the 4th level of the clan. Although she was only promoted to the 1st level, she was very happy. You must know that the higher the level of cultivation, the harder it is to advance, not to mention how long she has only been promoted. After being successfully promoted, Yan Xianglou stood up and stretched comfortably. Suddenly she remembered something. There were 3 levels in the pangu flower blooming technique, and she had already passed 2 of them in Tianqian continent. The first path was almost paid for with one's life, and he was put to death to survive. She spent the second stage successfully refining the Poguandan using spiritual springs and 9-leaf clover. Now that she has arrived in the higher continent, her cultivation level has reached the zone level. Although she still has a long way to go before the 3rd level of level, she has not forgotten that once the 3rd level comes, her cultivation the speed of promotion will slow down and cannot be broken through unless there is a unique spiritual energy treasure land in the world. Yan Xianglou was a little worried. She didn't know when the 3rd level would start. What will happen again? After all, it was difficult to break through to the level, and coupled with the level of the pangu flower blooming technique, she felt a little sorry for herself. With a long sigh, Yan Xianglou comforted herself that she was only at the zone level now. Since the 3rd level she passed was the god level, she should be at the holy level when the level started to appear. There is an emperor level between the zone level and the holy level. The speed of advancement from zone level to the holy level should not be affected by the level. As for the holy level, she doesn't know how long it will take to reach the holy level. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 372. Although there are many people with god-level cultivation in the higher continents, there are very few young people, and the so-called young people are also over 30 years old. She is only 16 years old now, and she is still more than 10 years away from being in her 30s, so there is no need to rush now. Even if she is extremely talented, it is impossible for her to reach the level of within a few years. With this thought, she temporarily put aside the worries in her heart. After thinking about it, Yan Xianglou looked outside the space and found that the carriage was parked, leaving only the carriage without the horse. She was immediately confused. Could it be that she went home with the young master Dakian? How many days have you been practicing in the palace? Yun Tuan, how many days have I been practicing? Yan Xianglou immediately shouted. Yun Tuan, who was practicing, responded, Master, you have been practicing for 3 days. As expected, Yan Xiangluo held out hope that this was not the headquarters of the Daqian family and asked, "Where is it outside?" Yun Tuan said helplessly, "The Qian family. Although it is practicing, the master has gone into the palace to practice, so it has been paying attention to the outside of the space." Seeing the carriage entering the gate of the Daqian family, it did not dare to disturb the owner and could only let the space be brought into the Daqian family. Yan Xiangluo slapped her forehead and said, "I'm in trouble this time. What does the Daqian family do? If it can be passed down from generation to generation, the family heritage is naturally rich and the strength must not be weak. Just think about the cultivation of the old man and the young master Daqian. Now that she is in their base camp, it may not be easy to get out. The defense here is probably something that she cannot see or detect, but she will know it as soon as she takes action. She would not dare to appear in the Daqian family using the invisibility pattern, as she was guaranteed to be caught immediately." Yun Tuan was speechless. He watched the carriage come in, so he naturally knew how tight the defense of the Daqian family was. And their location is far away from the main gate and the side door where the Daqian clan exits. Because this is the private stables of the Daqian family. Yan Xiangluo sat sadly on the steps outside the palace, holding her cheeks and frowning, thinking about what to do. Ji Zhikong is still practicing in the palace. He is not forced to do so and must not be interrupted. Yan Xiangluo looked at the sky outside and it was getting dark. It was going to be dark. It seemed that even if she came up with a way, she wouldn't be able to get out today. Suddenly her eyes lit up. The city where the Daqian family lived seemed not too far from Xiangyang city where they were going, only 2 cities separated it. Even though they were practicing in the palace, they didn't seem to delay their journey. On the contrary, they walked much faster than they could on their own. Thinking of this, Yan Xiangluo was no longer depressed. She was not going to go into the palace to practice again. She found from Ji Zhishong that going into the palace to practice took longer every time. It was 3 days when Ji Zhishong first went in. Now 3 days are up and he hasn't come out yet. She will take a good look at the surrounding situation tomorrow. Finding an opportunity to leave the Daqian family first is the most important thing. After she figured it out, she stopped sitting on the steps outside the palace in a daze. She got up and went to the kitchen to make a delicious meal to celebrate her promotion. Although she has only advanced to the first level, this is a clan level cultivation promotion. Being able to advance to the first level so quickly is already enviable, and there is nothing embarrassing for her to celebrate by herself. Ji Zhishong doesn't know when he will come out. There is no need to think that he will be promoted again after he comes out. The limit of each experience in the palace is to meet the requirements for promotion. Yan Xiangluo didn't compare with Ji Zhishong, whose talent in cultivation was unparalleled. The pangu flower blossom technique she practiced was already unbelievable enough. Except for the difficulty in advancing through the levels, she advanced to other levels very quickly, at least better than her. Talents who know advance much faster. The aroma of food soon came from the kitchen, because Yun Tuan, who had been worried that he would not be able to practice quietly, simply stopped practicing. He jumped down from the space stone breast and came to the kitchen to squat on the table and wait for the delicious food. When Ruan Xiangluo saw Yun Tuan coming, she specially made barbecue and snacks for him. Yun Tuan was in a great mood. The owner was so kind to him. Well, after eating delicious food, he still had to practice quickly. Recovering the cultivation level of your divine beast as soon as possible can also help the owner more. Yun Tuan finished eating first, put away the uneaten food, and then went to continue practicing on the space stone milk. Yan Xiangluo was slowly enjoying the pleasure brought by the food. At this moment, she heard voices outside the space. Looking outside the space, she saw 2 men and 1 woman standing in front of the carriage talking. They are not very old, they look to be around 20 years old. The woman is younger than the 2 men, less than 20 years old. "Xiao Xiao, "Does the owner really promise to let you use this carriage tomorrow?" one of the men asked with an uncertain tone. The woman named Xiaojiao raised her chin and said arrogantly, "Of course, aren't we all here to pick up the carriage? Tomorrow I will go to the Zhu family. Among the girls from our Dakian family, I am the only one qualified to talk to the Zhu family. Young master's marriage, even if the head of the family cares about his face, he will not reject my request. After all, my visit to the Zhu family tomorrow represents the face of the Dakian family. The more the two families are on good terms, the more the head of the family values me, the more satisfied the Zhu family will be." The two men looked at each other and said flatteringly, "Xiao, we are your brothers. You have to ask for more benefits for us. Can you allocate more training resources to us next month? After all, if we are strong, you will have enough confidence to marry into the Zhu family." Xiao hesitated and said, "Monthly training resources are stipulated. You have not shown particularly good talents, and it is not the critical moment for promotion. It is not easy to allocate more training resources. The head of the family and I let's talk about it. I can't guarantee it will work." The two men immediately laughed and said, "As long as Xiao does her best, it will be fine." It became clear to Yang Xiang that these three people were brothers and sisters of the same mother. But looking at the selfish looks on her two brothers' faces, it doesn't seem like they have the confidence to become this woman named Xiao. This girl is too arrogant. They are really brothers and sisters, selfish and interested in each other. You are not the daughter of the head of the Dakian family. You are just valuable, so you cannot distinguish your own position. It is difficult for such people to achieve anything great. If you want to be the head of a family, you are not qualified." She had lived in a big family in another life, and she knew very well what the big family's requirements were for choosing a matron. However, Yan Xiangluo was not interested in whether she could become the young mistress of the Zhu family. She was interested in what they said. "The woman named Xiao will use this carriage tomorrow and must take it away now." In other words, the carriage is leaving the residence of the Dakian family and she can find an opportunity to leave. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 373. Yan Xiangluo's mood suddenly became better. She ate a lot more delicious food when she was in a good mood, and ended up stuffing herself. However, she didn't take any Xiaoshi pills. Instead, she went to the place where the herbs were grown and moved the thick herbs away and planted them separately so that they would grow better. She bent down to do something that could be done with just one thought for more than half an hour. After moving the herbs, she didn't hold on any longer and continued to study alchemy without taking a rest. In order to refine the God-level elixirs as quickly as possible, she has not refined all the 7, 8, and 9 level elixirs. Now she plans to refine these elixirs slowly. This must be done in order to refine the God-level elixirs steadily. Grade elixir. Even though she can now refine God-level elixirs, if she doesn't refine all the unrefined elixirs, the refining of God-level elixirs will not go smoothly. Actually, if she had steadily become a God-level alchemist, she would not have been able to refine so many infant-breaking pills. After Yan Xiangluo finished her work, she saw that the carriage had moved to a yard. She saw the horses in the stables nearby and knew that this should be the home of the girl named Xiao. There are many members of the Dakian family, and their direct descendants have always lived together. Although they are all direct descendants, as time goes by, they are also divided into distant relatives. Therefore, although they live together, each family also lives separately. Living expenses are paid on a monthly basis, and each family has its own yard and life. This way there will be fewer conflicts and less trouble. Yan Xiangluo felt more at ease when she saw that the carriage had changed places. The cultivation level of the three people just now is much lower than hers. The girl is considered the best among the three brothers and sisters. She is only at the 9th level of the king level. Judging from the girl's age, she should be 1 or 2 years older than Yuan Xiangluo. From what she said, she was still the most talented girl among the Daqian family. From such a comparison, it can be clearly seen how strong Yan Xiangluo's talent was. After all, a girl of 17 or 18 years old can be considered a genius if she can reach the 9th level of king-level cultivation. In Yan Xiangluo's mind, geniuses are divided into 4 levels: ordinary genius, super genius, monster genius, and heaven-defying genius. This woman named Xiaojiao can only be regarded as an ordinary genius, and she really doesn't take her seriously. The elixir was refined overnight, and when the fragrance fell on the girl, she set off in her carriage and stopped refining the elixir. She wanted to change back to a woman's dress, but when she thought about her appearance that could easily cause trouble, she gave up her thoughts. Let's do this for now and wait until Jijokong comes out before she resumes her woman's dress. It's too unsafe to be alone. Unknowingly, she regarded Jijokong as someone she could rely on. Seeing that she still had time, Yan Xiangluo made a simple breakfast and ate while waiting for the opportunity. This time the carriage was driven. She was sitting in the driving seat before she came in. Now when she wanted to go out, she would appear in the arms of the carriage driver. This was not what she wanted. Even though the driver's cultivation level was not high, she didn't want to alarm anyone. Hence, we can only wait until the coachman leaves the carriage before going out. But the coachman is driving and will not leave the carriage for a while. However, the spatial location allows you to clearly see the scene on the street. Although this is not the city where the city lords of the southern continent live, it is still extremely prosperous, at least incomparable to Dusui city. This also shows the gap and difference between the inner continent and the outer continent. Most of the pedestrians on the road are monks, and occasionally ordinary people can be seen, but they are also well dressed. It can be seen that even ordinary people in the inner continent live better than ordinary people in the outer continent. Along the way, Yan Xiangluo carefully memorized the layout of the city and several places she paid attention to, such as the unknown location, how far the Daqian auction house was from the residence of the Daqian family, and which restaurant was the most prosperous. The business of the shop is good, what kind of cultivation level are the people on the street, etc. Sometimes I also use my mind-reading skills to listen to the inner thoughts of the coachman and the person named Xiaojiao and her maid in the carriage. These words can best understand the most authentic information. The Daqian family is still very influential, especially this carriage. Pedestrians on the road shunned it and made way for it, as if they were afraid of offending the Daqian family. The woman named Xiaojiao in the carriage was very proud. Today she took this carriage to go to the Zhu family. She thought that when she gets married in the future, the carriage that the Zhu family will use to pick up the bride must be the best from the Zhu family. The more she thought about it, the more beautiful she felt. She was so proud that she could clearly perceive the fragrance in the space because of her mind-reading skills. Yan Xiangluo was speechless. A girl's glory is indeed related to her family, but that only means that your family is willing to fulfill your glory, otherwise you are nothing. She feels that her glory must be obtained by relying on her own strength and ability. Safe. After the carriage circled more than half of the city, it finally arrived at the gate of Zhu's house. The driver jumped out of the carriage, and the maid inside the carriage got off first and knocked on the door. Yan Xiangluo immediately used an invisibility pattern, took advantage of the fact that no one was driving the carriage and went out, then quickly jumped off the carriage and left. Looking back at Zhu's house, the door opened, with attendants standing on both sides. A man wearing a jade crown and brocade clothes came out with someone. He lifted the car curtain with a smile on his face, and supported the woman named Xiaojiao. Get off. Seeing the shy expression on Xiaojiao's face, Yan Xiangluo knew that this was the young master of the Zhu family she mentioned, her future fiancé. Yan Xiangleo was not interested in watching anything else, so she turned around and left. She went to a secluded place, removed the invisibility pattern on her body, and then walked towards the street. She wanted to find an inn to stay in, and was wondering whether to leave for Xiangyang City now or wait for Ji Zhozhong to go together after his experience. She stayed at an inn across the street. In order not to attract attention, she didn't ask for a room, just an ordinary guest room. Because she wanted to get more information, she had been using mind-reading skills to read the inner thoughts of people around her. The most information she learned from it was about the continental competition. The feeling is not obvious in the outer continent, but in the inner continent, the continental competition is a hot topic, and almost everyone is paying attention. Yan Xiangluo's eyes flashed. Although the continental competition is the most authoritative competition in the mainland rankings, it won't make these people who can't participate so excited, right? Thinking of this, she left the inn and went to the registration place for the competition in the city, where she could hear more valuable information. The city where the Daqian family lives is called Lingyuan City, which means high aspirations. Because Lingyuan City is close to the center of the mainland, there are many big families living in it, and the power distribution is also very messy. However, the Daqian family is the one that every family wants to be friends with. There are many people registering for the competition, not all of them are here to register, some are here to watch the excitement, and some are here to check the information. Yan Xiangluo stood in an inconspicuous corner, secretly listening to the thoughts of the people around her. This time she really heard some news that surprised her. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 374. Chapter 374 News from Dad. Yan Xiangluo's heartbeat was very fast just because she heard that the people around her were thinking about her father. This person's cultivation level is not low, and he is also a sect level cultivation level. However, he did not sign up to participate in the competition. Just because of his cultivation level, even if he participated, he would not be able to enter the 100. According to the results of the competition in recent years, there are only people who can enter the 100. Their cultivation levels are all above the saint level. But this man felt sad that he could not participate in the competition. He watched with contempt those people with higher cultivation level than him who signed up. At the same time, he was still praying that someone like Yunfuxian, the first place winner in the last competition, would appear in this competition. He is unknown and has no power, but he won the first place in the competition with his 8th level holy level cultivation. You must know that there are still many people with 9th level holy level cultivation participating in the competition, but a person with 8th level holy level won the first place. Those who upgraded to 9th level cultivation in the last competition became a joke. Yan Xiangluo didn't expect to hear information about her father here. The competition is held once every 3 years. In other words, 3 years ago, her father participated in the continental competition and won first place. However, what puzzled her was why the information about her father was not recorded. This information that almost all monks know, why is it that it seems to be banned in the mainland and no one has mentioned it? Don't you even dare to record what you don't know? Yan Xiangluo's heart was heavy. What happened to her parents? She knows that her father is not a pushy person. He prefers to do things quietly. There must be some compelling reason for participating in such a high-profile competition. And the only person who can make my father break his own rules is my mother. Did something happen to my mother? Her eyes lit up. Since it was a competition, there must be a prize. Was her father going there for the prize? If she knew what the prize was, she could deduce what happened to her parents. Thinking of this, she immediately struck up a conversation with the man next to her who was praying that someone like her father would appear again in this competition. The more the two chatted, the more they became more and more speculative. Yan Xiangluo took the opportunity to ask about the prize for the first place in this competition. What? The man seemed very excited when he mentioned the prize. Little brother, the prize of this competition is even more generous than last time. The man looked excited as if the prize of this competition was his. More rich than last time. Xianxia pretended to be shocked. Yes, the prize for the first place in the last competition was a god-level Tianyuan pill, the opportunity to enter Yun's Hang Palace to practice for a year, and the Qingkang sword. No matter which one it is rare. The god-level Tianyuan pill is, needless to say, that is the guarantee to break through to the divine level. The opportunity to enter Yun's Hang Palace to practice can be said to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With Tianyuan Dan and a year of training in Yun's Hang Palace, the opponent will definitely get the first place in the competition. You can successfully advance to the level, not to mention the Qingkang sword, which is hand-refined by the world's best weapon refiner. It is a weapon that can grow. The man analyzed it to her with interest. Xianxia was thinking about these three rewards in her mind. Tianyuan Dan and Qingkang sword were not what her father wanted. After all, she knew that her father had an ancient sword in his hand, which did not need any refining master to refine it. Qingkang sword. As for the Tianyuan pill, my father is not someone who takes pills to improve his cultivation. Could it be that my father wants to go to Yun's Hang Palace to practice? It seems impossible no matter how you think about it. The reward for the first place in the last competition was generous enough, but this time it's even more unexpected. The man's tone became more and more excited. How unexpected is it? Xianxia asked cooperatively. This time there are still Tianyuan pills and the reward of going to Yun's Hang Palace to practice for a year. This is almost the same reward in every competition. The third reward is the most enviable and jealous. The man was even more pretentious. Brother, please stop trying to take advantage of me, Xianxia said in a pleading tone. The man laughed and lowered his voice and said, this is an opportunity to enter the ancient secret realm. Ancient secret realm? Xianxia was a little confused. What's so exciting about this? Is there anything special about this ancient secret realm? The man saw her confused look, gritted his teeth and said, brother, you don't know about the ancient secret realm, do you? Xianxia was immediately surprised and said, are you talking about that ancient secret realm? These mysterious words made the other party give up their doubts about her, and immediately said mysteriously, yes, it is that ancient secret realm. It is said that 10 people can enter this year. In addition to the top 3 in the competition, there are still 7 places. Has been competed by various major families, and I don't know which family it will fall on in the end. When the man said this, his tone finally became lonely. Xianxia shrugged, it won't fall on us anyway. After hearing her words, the man's lonely mood disappeared. My little brother is in a good mood. Xianxia smiled and said, it's just acceptance of fate. The man sighed, indeed, we have to accept our fate. The most indispensable thing in the world is genius. It is said that this competition is very interesting. There are several geniuses who are said to be as talented as monsters. There are several geniuses in the mainland. I am afraid that this competition will be more powerful than it's even more intense. Seeing that she could find out no other information, Xianxia said goodbye to the man and turned around. She wants to check 2 pieces of information. One is to determine the purpose of her father's participation in the competition. After all, after participating in the competition, all kinds of information were banned in the mainland. It is very likely that her father did something that is not allowed by nature, or let some high-ranking people do it. If you are dissatisfied, the news will be blocked, and only the original information that came to the mainland will be blocked. After knowing the news, Xianxia became even more worried about her parents. She didn't know what they had experienced and what they had encountered. 3 years have passed. How are they now? She desperately wanted to find her parents. I don't know if the chance to enter Yun's Hang Palace in the last competition has been fulfilled. This is because I want to confirm whether my father went to Yun's Hang Palace to practice. The second one is the information about the ancient secret realm. The two pieces of information cost her 10,000 high-grade spiritual stones. She felt a little distressed when she saw that the spiritual stones that her sworn brother had given her had suddenly decreased. However, no matter how distressed she felt, she had to buy these pieces of information. The first piece of news is not expensive, after all, it is not too secretive information. The information about the ancient secret realm is really expensive, mainly because Xianxia bought a map of the ancient secret realm. This is recommended by an unknown friend, who said that this map was drawn after tens of thousands of years of information brought by people who entered each time, and it is currently the most accurate map. Xianxia thought that no matter whether there was a chance to go in or not, she should prepare one first to be prepared. She returned to the inn with the message and couldn't wait to open the first message slip. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 375. Chapter 375, Sold Again. The top 3 in each competition will have the opportunity to enter Xuanhuan Palace to practice for a year, but last time the first place did not go, and the place was sold to the 5th place. The transaction was successful with 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Although the number of spiritual stones is terrifying, it is not something that ordinary people can afford. Obviously, the 5th person has a mine at home. Although no names were mentioned, anyone who knows the rankings of the last continental competition knows who these two people are. The first place is naturally Xianluo's father Yunfuxian. Yan Xianluo frowned. Instead of going to Xuanhuan Palace to practice, his father bought a quota of 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Could it be that his father was short of spiritual stones? But no matter how much information she had, she still couldn't determine what happened to her parents, or whether they simply needed spiritual stones. Yan Xianluo felt very worried and opened the second information slip. This was information about the ancient secret realm. There is a lot of information, no wonder it is so expensive. From the jade slips, Yan Xianluo learned about the origin of the ancient secret realm and the number of people and the list of people who entered the ancient secret realm every year. She still didn't see her father's name on the list of people who entered the ancient secret realm 3 years ago. He won the first place. Not only did he not go to Xuanhuan Palace, he also didn't enter the ancient secret realm. What was his father going to do? Have the qualifications for entry been sold again? Yan Xianluo's worries are getting heavier and heavier. The only 3 rewards her father received are the god-level Tianyuan pill. Now she doesn't know if this Tianyuan pill was also sold by her father. After all, Tianyuan pill is the guarantee when advancing to the divine level. Although my father has never used pills to assist his advancement, he dare not protect his injured mother from using them. She only knew that her mother had been seriously injured, but she did not know the specific circumstances and did not find out about it at the Long family. Yan Xianluo, who had no clue, sorted out her mood and pondered the information about the ancient secret realm. It is now impossible to trace when the ancient secret realm appeared, but it can be determined that it existed at all times in ancient times. It is an entrance opened by the ancient gods together. Only 10 people can enter each year. Only those with holy level cultivation can enter. Those with a cultivation level higher than the holy level cannot enter, and those with a cultivation level lower than the holy level cannot enter. Moreover, 10 people need to work together to open the entrance to the secret realm. You can experience it for a year after entering. There is only one way to come out of it, which is to break through to the level and become a god-level powerhouse. However, if 10 people go in, it is not certain how many people will come out. Anyway, not all people come out at one time, and at the best time, only 7 people came out. After those who went in came out, they never mentioned anything about what was going on inside, as if there were some restrictions. It wasn't that they didn't want to say it, but they couldn't say it, or they couldn't say it. Even so, those with holy level cultivation are still trying their best to find a way to get in, especially those with strong family backgrounds, who are willing to spend any amount of spiritual stones to sell such a place. Yan Xianglou felt that if her father's quota to enter the ancient secret realm was sold, it would probably be more expensive than the qualification to go to Yun's Hang Palace. After all, it is still possible to go to Yun's Hang Palace, but there is no possibility of cheating when entering the ancient secret realm. Although there are 10 places for people to enter every year, the 10 places are only qualified for the top 10 in the actual competition. The Continental Hegemony competition is one of them. There are also 2 competitions, one is the weapon refining competition and the other is the alchemy competition. These 3 competitions are held every 3 years, exactly one each year, and they rotate every 3 years. Among them, except for the 10 places in the Continental competition, almost all of which were entered by myself, the places in the other 2 competitions can still be purchased by people with strong background. Just because the top 10 in the weapon refining competition and the alchemy refining competition are strong in alchemy and weapon refining, but their cultivation is not necessarily strong enough, and most of them cannot reach the saint level. Therefore, their qualifications to enter the ancient secret realm must be given to qualified people from their own families, and some without family members can sell them for a profit. The jade slips record the changes of all the people who came out of the ancient secret realm. Yan Xianglou can see from it that in the ancient secret realm, not only can they experience and improve their cultivation, but they can also get some ancient treasures, including weapons. The weapons used by some people after they come out are all it is an ancient weapon, very powerful, directly doubling their combat effectiveness. Some treasures that were not available before will appear inexplicably, which is another reason why those people spend a lot of money to sell their places. This year is the Continental competition, and there will be 10 more places. I don't know who will get them. Yan Xianglou didn't care about this matter. She was worried about what happened to her parents. After reading it, she put the information on the steps outside the palace in the space, so that if Jizhong came out, he could see it. Since the information was bought, it should not be wasted. Let Jizhong understand it too, and maybe they would do the same in the future. Participating in the continental competition. Yan Xianglou left the inn again, wandering around without any goal, and then listened to some news casually. She didn't go back at noon, so she found a restaurant and ordered 2 signature dishes. The taste was just average, but she barely managed to eat it. She ate while watching the people passing by on the street. At this time, she heard what the people eating next to her said, mainly that they were going to the same place she was going to, Xiangyang City. They were mercenaries and were forced to take on a dangerous mission. However, there was no alchemist among them. However, hiring an alchemist was too expensive. The money they earned during this trip was not enough to hire an alchemist. But for the sake of name, they still want to hire an alchemist. Yan Xianglou was curious if the mercenaries were not responsible for taking the missions themselves, and why they were forced to take the missions, so she listened to their voices. With the addition of their inner voices and their conversation, Yan Xianglou understood the ins and outs of the matter. Their single task is to deliver a box to Xiangyang City. Although the box was not big, they didn't know what was inside. It was sealed with a secret method. The person who posted the task did not leave a name. The task level is the highest level, the reward is naturally ridiculously high, and the risk is naturally the same. No one took up this task after a month, so the Mercenary Association forced their team to take it up, otherwise they would be expelled. You must know that mercenaries who are removed from the mainland are no longer qualified to be mercenaries in the entire continent, which is equivalent to cutting off their livelihood. I had no choice but to accept this task. Although Yan Xianglou has never been a mercenary, there are mercenaries in lower continents, who are similar to bounty hunters. She knew that there were only 2 possibilities for accepting the mission, one was to complete the mission, and the other was to die all of them. If the mission failed, retreat was absolutely not allowed. However, although the person who issued the task did not show up, the reward was paid directly, regardless of whether they completed the task or not. This team was not happy about this. On the contrary, they were even more worried. Therefore, they wanted to hire an alchemist before setting off. However, when all the alchemists heard that they were taking this task, they would not go regardless of the reward. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 376. Chapter 376 is an opportunity. Even if they raised the employment fee to the limit they could afford, no alchemist would accept the employment. No, they are all very worried. They really can't hire an alchemist, so they have to set off. They have to set off on the same day after accepting the task. This is the rule. Xianxia's eyes blinked. They needed an alchemist, and she could use this reason to go with them. Xianxia did not take the risk for no reason, but had seriously considered it. Although following them is definitely dangerous, every battle for mercenaries is a battle of life and death. This is an excellent opportunity to gain insights. She doesn't know when Xuanhuan will come out. She can't go into the palace to practice. Otherwise, the two of them will always be separated like this. She doesn't know when they can leave for Xiangyang City. If their identities are not confirmed, it will be inconvenient for them to go to other continents. It's better to find an opportunity to practice outside, and the missions these mercenaries are taking are not opportunities. In fact, the alchemists that mercenaries can hire are all at level 3 or below. Alchemists with higher levels can make a lot of money without accepting their employment. Alchemists below the 3rd level, especially those without the support of a strong family, simply do not have the strength to purchase medicinal materials above the 3rd level to maintain alchemy. Each level of promotion requires wasting a lot of medicinal materials. There are almost no alchemists like Xianxialuo who can successfully refine them every time. This is why it is said that being an alchemist is a money-burning profession. It's good to be successful, but before you become successful, you are not just burning money. Although the price of first, second and third grade elixirs is not low, it is only relative, and it is still not enough to support them in buying medicinal materials to continue to improve their cultivation. Some people say that you can pick it yourself. Can you pick so many types of medicinal materials? That's why they accept the employment of mercenaries, and the price of being hired is naturally high. Moreover, the mercenary fee is a mercenary fee. The mercenaries must provide the medicinal materials for refining the elixir along the way, or buy ready-made elixirs from the alchemist. Most mercenaries will provide their own medicinal materials, which saves some money. This is also a good opportunity for them to practice. Sometimes if they have one more Chengdan, they will make another profit. In fact, most mercenary teams hire alchemists just as a precaution, but today this mercenary team hires alchemists to save their lives. Therefore, they are willing to pay the commission as long as they can afford it. Xianxialuo turned to the people at the next table and said, "Do you want to hire an alchemist?" Hearing someone talking, the people at the next table all turned their heads to look at Xianxialuo, and saw a man with an unattractive appearance and a young age, who could only be considered a teenager. Their expressions were all a little disappointed. Even if this person is an alchemist, I am afraid he can only be at the junior or first level. Did I hear wrongly? You don't need an alchemist. Xianxialuo naturally understood their expressions and said in an indifferent tone. The people in the team all looked at one of them. Xianxialuo knew that this person should be their captain, so she also looked at that person. We are the Evergreen Mercenary Team. Since the young master has heard this, he must know that we have taken on a very dangerous mission and cannot hire an alchemist. Is the young master an alchemist? The captain of the Evergreen team looked at her and asked. Yan Xiangleo nodded and said, I'm going to Xiangyang City, and I happen to be an alchemist. The captain of the Changqing squadron's eyes lit up. Young master, are you willing to accept our employment? Yan Xiangleo nodded, on the way. Although the members of Changqing team were happy that there was an alchemist willing to accept their employment, they still doubted Yan Xiangleo's alchemy skills because of her age. The captain of the Changqing team asked, what's your surname, young master? I don't want to change my surname to Ru. Ruan Xiangleo didn't want to change her surname. Besides, if she said her surname was Ru, they would think it was Yun. After all, there were too few people with the surname Ruan. What level of alchemist is Mr. Yun? Asked the captain of the Changqing team. He indeed thought that Yan Xiangleo's surname was Yun. Yan Xiangleo smiled, you just need to know that my level as an alchemist is something you cannot afford to hire normally. The captain of the Changqing team was suddenly stunned. In his mind, he thought that Yan Xiangleo was probably a junior or first-grade alchemist. Could it be that he was a fourth-grade alchemist? They can normally hire first-level to third-level alchemists. They cannot afford to hire anyone above third-level alchemy masters. However, given Yan Xiangleo's grade, he feels that someone who can reach level 4 is definitely an alchemy genius. Would such a genius accept their employment? Why does he feel that something is not normal today? He is so restless. The alchemist was really willful, and he just accepted their employment along the way. It looked like he was a member of a big family just out for fun. But the way she dresses is different, but the tone of her voice and the temperament she exudes are similar. We need to hire an alchemist for 10 days to half a month. Whether it is 10 days or half a month, we will pay half a month. We normally hire a third-grade alchemist with 2,000 high-grade spiritual stones for half a month, and we will double the payment. Mr. Yun, how about it? The captain of Changqing team thought for a moment. Doubling that would be 4,000 high-grade spiritual stones, which is already the limit they can produce. Yu Xiangleo has heard their voices before and knows that 4,000 high-grade spiritual stones is indeed the maximum amount they can come up with. He nodded and said, it's a deal. The spirit stones will be paid first. The rules are as normal. You can just hire an alchemist. The captain of the Changqing team immediately said, that's what it should be. Either the mercenary team is prepared to carry various medicinal materials for refining wound medicine, just in case of injury, the hired alchemist can refine the healing elixir they need. The alchemist will not provide them with medicinal materials. If they had the medicinal materials, they would not accept their employment. It would be better for them to sell the elixirs directly, which would save worry and safety. When are you going to set off? Yan Xiangleo asked. The mission we took on this morning must start before the city gate closes, said the captain of the Changqing team. Yan Xiangleo said, I checked out the hotel and can leave at any time. You can arrange the time. Upon hearing this, the captain of the Changqing team immediately said, then we will accompany Mr. Yun to check out the hotel, and then set off immediately. Because they are mercenaries, they often travel to various continents, but they are mainly in the southern continent, so they are very familiar with the southern continent. It is noon now, and they can go to a safer place to rest at night. Since Yan Xiangleo decided to go with them, she naturally got up quickly and walked with them to the inn where she was staying. Seeing Yan Xiangleo check out of the room, the captain of the Changqing team immediately handed the prepared spiritual stone to Yan Xiangleo. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 377. Chapter 377 Evergreen Team. Yan Xiangleo glanced at the kinkin bag he handed over, took it, and directly moved the spiritual stones inside to her own storage ring without counting them. They did not dare to offend themselves because of this, so they casually returned the Kinkin bag to the captain of the Evergreen squad. The captain of the Changqing team was surprised. If other alchemists would have taken the Kinkin bag as their own, Mr. Yun, although he was young, was very energetic in his work, which made him feel much more at ease. Maybe young Master Yun is really a young master from a big family who came out to practice. Knowing that their trip was dangerous, he followed them specially to practice. They might be able to use his help to save their lives and complete the task this time. The group of people left the city together, and Yan Xianglou was curious about how they were going to travel. I saw the leader of the Changqing team summoning a flying spirit beast, and then the other team members also summoned their own flying spirit beasts. There are quite a lot of types of flying spirit beasts. They are incomparable to the level of the white eagle, the flying spirit beast they traded before, but it is still much less tiring than using spiritual energy to travel. The captain of the Changqing team glanced at Yan Xianglou and saw that he had not summoned the flying spirit beast. He knew that he should not use the flying spirit beast to travel normally, and he was even more certain that he came from a big family. Only people from big families can afford to use the teleportation array to teleport the profound pattern. The value of a teleportation pattern is equal to the reward for one of their missions, so they can afford it. He said with some embarrassment, "Young Master Yun is going to have to ride with me on a flying spiritual beast." "It doesn't matter." Yan Xianglou didn't show any discrimination. Luo graciously followed the captain of the Changqing team onto his flying spirit beast. A group of flying spirit beasts flying into the sky is quite eye-catching. Most of these flying teams are mercenaries, which can be seen from their dress. Ordinary people would not provoke mercenaries. After all, being a mercenary is a very powerful thing. Yan Xianglou has seen the cultivation level of all the members of the Evergreen mercenary team, and none of them are lower than the clan level. The captain has the highest cultivation level, clan level 9, and the lowest one is one level higher than her, clan level 5. Class. Although such a level of cultivation is not considered a strong person in the higher continents, it is enough to perform some tasks as a mercenary, but it is still necessary to avoid the highest level tasks. Just like the mission they took today, it is not a mission that their cultivation level mercenary team should take. Although Yan Xianglou heard some of their thoughts through mind reading, she didn't know why the mercenary association planned for them to take this task. There are still many levels of mercenary teams, and there are many teams with higher cultivation levels than theirs. Why do they let the Evergreen team die? The specific reason is not known, but one thing is certain: their team is not popular with people in the mercenary association. They wouldn't ask if they didn't say Yun Xianglou, just like if I didn't tell them her name, they wouldn't ask more and would just call her Mr. Yun. Sometimes this unspoken respect is important. "Master Yun, I am the captain of the Changqing mercenary team, and my name is Li Changhao." Although Li Changhao did not ask Yu Xiangluo's name, he still told her his name. Yan Xianglou nodded. "Captain Li, how long do you plan to arrive at Xianyang City?" Li Changhao sighed. "Actually, there are only 2 cities separated from Xianyang City. If we don't encounter any obstacles, we can reach Xianyang City in 7 or 8 days at the speed of a flying spirit beast. But now I can't guarantee that we can reach Xianyang City in 7 or 8 days." Yan Xianglou understood that their mission this time was not simple. There would be many obstacles on the road, and there was no guarantee that they would arrive at the normal speed. "Do you have any plans for your journey?" Li Changhao was a little confused as to why Yan Xianglou asked. "Mr. Yun, when we receive missions, we usually rush as fast as possible, and our rest time is when the flying spirit beasts are tired." Yan Xianglou understood, that is, as long as the flying spirit beasts are tired, as long as the beast can fly, they will not stop on their way. Even if it is to rest, he will not go to the city to rest. Instead, he will find a place to let the flying spirit beast regain its strength. After all, going to the city to rest and stay in an inn is a huge expense, so just save it if you can. It will take another 7 or 8 days to get there by traveling like this, and the distance is really not that close. Knowing the way they were traveling and the approximate time they would arrive at Xiangyang City, Yan Xiangluo didn't ask any more questions, closed her eyes and started practicing. Li Changhao was shocked when he felt the spiritual energy pouring into Yan Xiangluo's body. This was the first time he saw someone sitting on the back of a flying spirit beast and still calming down to practice. Although the flying spirit beast flies very smoothly, it is extremely fast, and the surrounding auras pass by at the speed of the flying spirit beasts. He cannot absorb such auras into his body for cultivation. Li Changhao was very curious about how Mr. Yun did it. He wanted to ask, but he was worried that this was his way of cultivation. Asking would not only be impolite but also make him unhappy. But they are careless and itchy. Their mercenaries often stay on the backs of flying spirit beasts for a long time. It is a waste to sit like this. If they can practice like young master, wouldn't they be able to do both tasks and practice at the same time? The midday sun shone hotly on her body, and soon she started to sweat. During the cultivation, Yan Xiangluo naturally used her luck and spiritual power to resist the heat, and her body suddenly felt much better. But the people in Changqing team are not willing to use their spiritual power like this. After all, they are on a mission. If they encounter danger, their spiritual power is their capital for fighting, and they are not willing to waste it at all. A group of men sweat when hot spots are hot spots, so they endure it. They often do this and are accustomed to it. It was just that when Li Changhao saw that Yan Xiangluo was using his spiritual power so extravagantly, the corner of his mouth twitched. He was truly an alchemist. He probably only needed one pill to restore his spiritual power, so naturally he didn't have to endure the scorching heat like them. Time passed little by little, and the sun slowly set, leaving only a little afterglow that gave off a fiery red light, reflecting the sky. The speed of the flying spirit beast slowed down, and Li Changhao was also looking for a resting place. When the flying spirit beast lowered its flying height, Yan Xiangluo quit practicing and opened his eyes, and saw the flying spirit beast falling into a mountain forest. She knew that the evergreen team was going to take a break. Li Changhao saw that she had quit practicing and immediately told her, "Master Yun, we will rest here for about an hour and a half." Yan Xiangluo glanced at the surrounding environment and understood that Li Changhao had rich experience in surviving in the wild. Flying spirit beasts fall down and return to their master's spirit beast space to rest and regain strength. Members of the Changqing team perform their respective duties, rest, take a rest, be on guard, and two are responsible for lighting the fire. Are they cooking? End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 378. Yan Xiangluo was very surprised. Logically speaking, their cultivation level was above the clan level. If they could avoid eating as much as possible, it was better not to eat. After all, not everyone could afford to eat spiritual rice and vegetables without impurities. Monks are most taboo about the accumulation of impurities in the body, and they have to take elixirs to eliminate them. The most important thing is that it affects their cultivation. Seeing her confused look, Li Changhao explained, "They are not cooking, they are making spiritual energy tea. This is what we drink when we go on a mission. It can maintain the best spiritual energy and keep people full of energy." Yan Xiang realized clearly that the tea they put in indeed contains spiritual energy. However, this is not a high-quality spiritual tea. Yan Xiangluo didn't say anything. Financial strength determines your living standards. She will not ridicule and look down on others because their lives are not as good as hers. Yu Xiangluo found a place to sit down in Pangzi and continue practicing. At this moment, Li Changhao somewhat understood why she had achieved sect-level cultivation at such a young age. It was partly because she was talented, but mainly because she worked hard enough. She spent almost all her time practicing along the way. It's no wonder that someone who works so hard can achieve such a high level of cultivation. Think about it, she is only a teenager, and he is already in his 30s, and his cultivation level is only a few levels higher than hers. By comparison, no one in their team who relies on their cultivation level to beg for food can work as hard as her. I'm really a little ashamed. Although the rest of the team didn't say anything, their thoughts were similar to their captain's. Therefore, after drinking the spiritual energy tea, everyone except those in charge of security began to practice. Li Changhao originally left the spiritual energy tea for Yan Xiangluo, but seeing that she entered the cultivation state so quickly, he did not disturb him. The spiritual energy tea must be drunk immediately after brewing, otherwise the spiritual energy will dissipate. So they drank up all the spiritual energy tea, thinking that if Mr. Yun quit practicing soon, they would cook it for him alone. Li Changhao felt that Mr. Yun might not be interested in the spiritual energy tea they drank. As night falls, there is no other sound in the mountain forest except for the occasional chirping of insects and birds. Yan Xiangluo had not practiced so wholeheartedly for a long time. She entered the realm very quickly once she started practicing. However, she was very aware of the current situation and left a trace of consciousness to sense the outside. 1.5 hours is not a long time, nor is it a short time. Yan Xiangluo is still very capable of adapting to the environment, so even if she knows that danger will come at any time, she can still calm down and practice. Just when they rested for about an hour, Yan Xiangluo sensed a dozen scents approaching quietly in the distance. She suddenly opened her eyes and saw that Li Changhao had stood up and other team members were surrounding him. Li Changhao turned to Ruan Xiangluo and said, "There are unwritten rules among mercenaries. Even if they are gangsters, they will not take action against the hired alchemists. But I am not sure whether this group of people will abide by the rules. Yun Master, please find a place to wait for a while." Yan Xiangluo understood the underlying meaning of Li Changhao's words, that is, according to the right principles, the other party would not take action against you, an alchemist, but the task they took on this time was not normal, and the people who came might not act according to the rules. "Don't worry about me, just do whatever you want." Yan Xiangluo stood up and jumped to a big tree not far away to sit down and look at them from a distance. Soon, a dozen people came across from them, wearing uniform black attire, with their heads wrapped in black gold and their faces covered. There were no signs at all. It can be said that it is impossible to know the origin of the other party. Yan Xiangluo frowned. The opponent was much stronger than the Changqing mercenary team. It seemed like this was a battle. She was not prepared to help from the beginning. She just took this opportunity to see the combat strength of the Changqing team. If it was not possible, she would take action again. "Hand over the box and I'll give you a way out," a man on the other side said in a very cold voice. Li Changhao did not answer his words, and ran directly towards the opponent with the long sword in his hand. There is no point in replying or not. As a mercenary, there are only two ways to complete the task or die. As for the other party's suggestion of handing over the box to let them live, it is simply impossible. Even if they hand over the box, they will live. A way out. Obviously the other party also knew this, but just said it casually. Yan Xiangluo was a little worried that Li Changhao had no chance of winning in a direct confrontation with someone like this. It looked like he was going to die. According to her understanding of Li Changhao, he shouldn't be such an impulsive person. At this moment, she discovered that the other members of the Changqing team did not rush forward directly, but quickly dispersed. Yan Xiangluo looked at it, and then understood that they had no intention of confronting each other directly. She didn't expect that the evergreen mercenary team would use the formation so skillfully, and they should use it frequently. Yan Xiangluo's own formation skills are very strong. When he saw the ranking order of several people, he immediately understood what formation they were setting up. The trap and killing array. Yan Xiangluo looked at the people on the other side, and obviously did not expect that the Changqing mercenary team would use formations to deal with them as soon as they came up. Li Changhao rushed over directly to delay their reaction, and it was also the most important formation of the trap formation. By the time the opponent reacts, their formation has been completed. The situation in which the enemy was strong and we were weak was suddenly reversed. The members of the Evergreen mercenary team cooperated with each other tacitly to continuously kill the opponent. However, 5 of the opponents were at the second or third level of the Emperor level. Even with the help of the trap formation, it took them nearly half an hour to kill them all. Although no one in the Changqing mercenary team was injured, their spiritual power was greatly consumed. Li Changhao glanced at the corpse on the ground and said, "Take the recovery pill immediately and set off." Everyone took out a pill and swallowed it. Yan Xiongluo saw that the recovery pills they took were all 3rd grade or lower. Although the effect was not very good, it was enough for them. The members of the Changqing team did not need Li Changhao's instructions and directly cleaned up the traces of the battle. Even if someone came to see it, they would never think that they used a formation to kill the opponent. "Master Yun, we are about to set off." Yuan Xiongluo jumped down from the tree and came to Li Changhao. The people from the Changqing team released the flying spirit beast. Yuan Xiongluo and Li Changhao still took a flying spirit beast. In the night, the flying spirit beast ran away in one direction. She turned back and glanced down. A dozen corpses were covered by the night. Although the members of the Changqing team did not have a good rest, their flying spirit beasts all recovered their strength and disappeared into the night very quickly. This way of traveling is indeed a good one. Yan Xiongluo was about to continue practicing. Li Changhao on the side hesitated for a moment, then asked what he had always wanted to ask. He thought to himself that if you are not thick-skinned, you will get nothing. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 379. Master Yun, you can practice on the flying spirit beast. Is it a special practice? Although Li Changhao asked, he was still very embarrassed. Yan Xiongluo was stunned. Can't you practice on flying spiritual beasts? Li Changhao looked at her in surprise. Does Mr. Yun think anyone can practice on flying spiritual beasts? What the two people asked seemed to be no problem, but they both understood one thing. Li Changhao understood that Mr. Yun indeed thought that anyone could practice on the flying spirit beast. Yuan Xiongluo understood that not everyone could practice on the flying spirit beast. Yan Xiongluo glanced at the other members of the Changqing team. Sure enough, they were all sitting quietly on the backs of the flying spirit beasts, and no one was practicing. Yan Xiongluo shrugged and said, "I don't have any special skills. When I rode a flying spirit beast for the first time, I thought it was a waste of time, so I tried to practice it. It turned out that it was fine after just one try." Li Changhao was shocked when he heard this. He could do it with just one try. How could it be possible? How did young Master Yun absorb the spiritual energy that flowed too fast into his body? Now that Li Changhao had spoken, Yan Xiongluo didn't explicitly say not to let him ask, so he continued to ask shamelessly. Besides, he sensed very clearly that the amount of spiritual energy absorbed by young Master Yu was no less than in a stable environment. If the members of their team learn this skill, they will not delay their practice when taking on any mission in the future. It's just absorbed directly. After answering, Yan Xiongluo felt that this answer was a bit perfunctory, and explained, "Spiritual beasts fly fast, and the spiritual energy passes by us very fast. I did not pay attention to this, but concentrated on absorbing the spiritual energy and touching the body. The spiritual energy is naturally absorbed into it, and I feel that the spiritual energy flows faster and more spiritual energy is absorbed." Yan Xiongluo told the truth about her cultivation process, and whether Li Changhao believed it or not was up to him. Originally, she had no obligation to teach them how to practice. She was the alchemist they hired, not the master who taught them how to practice. Li Changhao kept looking into Yan Xiangluo's eyes and knew that what he said was the truth and he was not lying. Because of this, he was shocked in his heart by how incredible this Master Yun's cultivation talent was. "Thank you, Mr. Yun, for clearing up the confusion." Li Changhao bowed his hand and was told the method without reservation. Regardless of whether he could succeed or not, he would still have to thank him for his selflessness. Yan Xiangluo waved her hands and said, "I don't think it helped you anything." At this time, Yan Xiangluo finally realized the difference between high and low cultivation talent. She and Ji Zhong are both people with extremely high cultivation talents, so no matter what happens between them in cultivation, they are not surprised by each other. But after seeing Li Changhao and the others today, Yan Xiangluo finally realized how much influence one's cultivation talent has on one's cultivation. Just like practicing on a flying spirit beast, both she and Ji Zhong were able to do it naturally, but it would be a difficult method for others to practice. Yan Xiangluo didn't say anything more, closed her eyes and started practicing. "We encountered people snatching boxes on the first day, and there will definitely be more in the future. However, it should be safe for now, and it is impossible to send many waves of people in succession." When Li Changhao saw that Yan Xiangluo had started to practice again, he also started to think about it. According to what Yan Xiangluo said, he tried to calm down his mind and did not pay attention to the flow rate of spiritual energy around him. He only used his heart to sense the spiritual energy on his skin and tried to keep absorbing these spiritual energy into your body. One night passed, and he did not succeed. It cannot be said that he was not successful, I can only say that the effect was minimal, but he was also very happy. As long as he could absorb it, he would naturally absorb more as he became more proficient. Therefore, he is not discouraged. If his talent is not as good as others, then he should work hard. He believes that as long as he works hard, one day he will be able to practice freely while flying with flying spirit beasts. The speed of the flying spirit beast had slowed down, and Li Changhao found a place to rest again. He did not hide his secrets, and taught the members of the Changqing team the method that Yuan Xiangluo told him, and told them not to compare with Mr. Yun. Mr. Yun's talent is too strong. Comparing with him will easily destroy confidence and will not be beneficial to cultivation. They can work harder and one day they will be able to learn it, and that will be their gain. Yan Xiangluo saw everything and gained a new understanding of Li Changhao. No wonder the cohesion of the Changqing team is so strong, and it has a lot to do with the leader. Li Changhao has management skills, strength, and a tolerant heart. He knows very well that if the mercenary team wants to become stronger, it is impossible to rely on one or two people. Only when all team members become stronger can their mercenary team be strong. Stand up. Although they may not necessarily be mercenaries for the rest of their lives, when they are mercenaries, they must stick to this belief, stick together as a team, stay focused, and use their hearts in one place, so that they can survive until the mercenary team is disbanded. Yan Xiangluo watched quietly as the members of the Changqing team discussed their experiences with each other. Li Changhao, who had already practiced, told them the problems he encountered, so that they could save some time to think about it. Yan Xiangluo was a little envious of the members of the Changqing team. In a world where the strong were respected, it was not easy to have such a pure friendship. Yan Xiangluo somewhat understood why she met them. She knew it would be dangerous to leave with them, but she still did so. It must be their righteousness that attracted her. Although Yan Xiangluo is envious, she also knows that the relationship between them is the trust accumulated in life and death battles, and it is not what you think. Yan Xiangluo let out a long breath and glanced at Ji Zhong, who was still practicing in the space. He had been practicing for a long time this time. Take back your spiritual consciousness, keep a touch of it outside, Close your eyes and start practicing. This time we still rested for an hour and a half. Fortunately, we didn't encounter anyone who snatched the box. When we set off again, the sun was blazing in the sky again. However, the members of the Evergreen team completely ignored the sweat on their bodies, and each one of them was concentrating on studying how to practice while the flying spirit beast was flying. It is rare for Xianxia to have such time to devote to training, so this team of mercenaries has become the most special team. However, Xianxia did not practice for a long time this time, because before she took a break, she felt as if there was a pair of eyes spying on them in the dark, and she still has them now. But there was a hiding place in the forest before. How could there be eyes that could spy on them in mid-air? Thinking that Xuanhuan's spirit beast is uninhibited, he is an expert at tracking and hiding. Could it be that there is some incredible spirit beast that has been following them? Looking at Xianxia, he saw that he was still concentrating on studying how to practice. Didn't he feel it? The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 380. Xianxia gave Xianxia a shrug with her elbow. Xianxia looked over with a questioning look in his eyes, clearly meaning what? Xianxia sent a message to him, have you sensed a pair of eyes in the dark that have been staring at us? Xianxia's eyes sharpened when he heard this, and he secretly let go of his consciousness to sense, but he didn't sense anything. Just because he can't sense it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's probably because his consciousness isn't strong enough. He said truthfully, my spiritual consciousness may not be strong enough to sense it. Mr. Yun, can you describe what you sensed? Xianxia described the situation she perceived to Xianxia in detail. Xianxia was shocked after hearing this, it's a tracking talisman. Xianxia was stunned after hearing his words, tracking the talisman. Xianxia was a little surprised that Mr. Yun didn't know how to track the talisman. Soon, he found a reason for Xianxia without any explanation. She was indeed a member of the big family who came out to practice, but this was her first time. I don't know anything about the dirty things outside. He explained patiently, Fulu and Xuanhuan are very similar. It is said that they come from the same lineage. However, people nowadays regard Xuanhuan as the righteous one and Fulu as the villain. Therefore, some Fulu masters have carved many unattractive talismans. The tracking talisman is relatively good. Although what Xianxia said was very simple, Xianxia could hear helplessness from it. She had seen the talisman in ancient books before. Xianxia was right. In ancient times, the talisman and the mysterious pattern did come from the same lineage. In fact, she said it more carefully, but the way of burning was different. Xuanhuan is a method of engraving with spiritual consciousness, and Fulu is a method of writing with spiritual power. Xianxia has no prejudice against Fulu and Xuanhuan. No matter which one is used on the right path, he is an upright person, and if he uses it on the wrong path, he is a villain. What's wrong with talismans and mysterious patterns? They are both controlled by people. There is no time to think too much about the talisman and the mysterious pattern now. What needs to be solved now is how to get rid of the tracking of the talisman. Although he and she have seen fruit talismans in ancient books, this is the first time they have come into contact with them and they have little experience. As expected, going out to practice is a good way to accumulate experience. There is a famous saying in another life that reading 10,000 books is worse than traveling 10,000 miles. She feels that it is better to go out and practice behind closed doors in this world. Is there any way to get rid of the tracking talisman? Xianxia asked. Xianxia sighed and said, there is only one way, which is to have a talisman master with a higher level than the talisman master who drew the tracking talisman to destroy the tracking talisman. Xianxia frowned and destroyed the tracking talisman? It was obvious that no one in the Changqing team understood talismans. She was a Xuanhuan master, not a talisman master. Suddenly she thought of one thing. Since Xuanhuan and talisman came from the same lineage in ancient times, could she try to use Xuanhuan? How to find the tracking talisman? As soon as she thought of it, Yanxiangluo used her spiritual consciousness to sense the breath of the talisman. After a while, she finally distinguished the breath of the talisman. Locking on the aura that seemed to be staring at them, he grabbed it directly with his spiritual consciousness. He immediately felt that a breath was wrapped in his spiritual consciousness, and Yanxiangluo pulled the breath to him. It was only then that Li Changhao felt the existence of the tracking talisman. He looked at Yu Xiangluo in shock. Mr. Yun was not only an alchemist but also a talisman master? Oh my god, how did he manage to do multiple things at once and learn everything so powerfully? That's not right. Young master, you didn't seem to understand much about talismans before. If she was a talisman master, how could she not understand? Master Yun, are you a talisman master? Li Changhao asked with a trembling voice. Yanxiangluo shook her head, no. How could Mr. Yun catch the tracking talisman? Li Changhao felt that she didn't want to admit that she was a talisman master. After all, the status of talisman masters on the mainland is very low. I am a mysterious pattern master. Since the mysterious patterns and talismans come from the same lineage, I thought about whether I could find it, and I did it. Yuan Xiangluo knew that Li Changhao probably didn't believe it, so she explained one sentence. Li Changhao put his heart into his stomach this time. Considering Yan Xiangluo's performance before, he was not surprised that she succeeded in the first try. Xuanhuan master, Mr. Yun is actually a Xuanhuan master, I'm so surprised. Yan Xiangluo looked at the tracking talisman wrapped in her consciousness and studied it carefully. If she dared to track her, she would have to collect some interest. Then she raised her hand and started carving it directly. This time Li Changhao witnessed Yan Xiangluo's tattoos with his own eyes, and was even more sure that Yan Xiangluo was a monster-like genius. He was very curious about what she was carving. After a moment, Yan Xiangluo's hand relaxed and said, "Go." Li Changhao immediately felt that the aura mixed with patterns and talismans was getting farther and farther, until he couldn't feel it at all. He asked, "Master Yun, what are you doing?" Yu Xiangluo was speechless. Li Changhao even used the honorific title, "From you to you." I carved an anti-tracking tattoo and scolded him for 3 days, Yuan Xiangluo said in a wicked way. Li Changhao's mouth twitched. Is this still possible? This was the first time he heard that Xuanhuan could curse people. If possible, he would really like to see the effect on the spot. Why are you scolding him? Li Changhao still asked curiously. Idiot Yan Xiangluo didn't hide her thoughts. Li Changhao's eyes even twitched this time. Is this really good? Anyone who is called a fool will go crazy after being scolded for 3 days. Can he be scolded for 3 days? Li Changhao is still a little doubtful about this. After all, the other party is a talisman master, and he can really be scolded for 3 days. Yan Xiangluo said confidently, with his little ability, he still can't crack my Xuanhuan. He has been scolded as a fool for 3 days and has already taken advantage of him. If it wasn't too troublesome, I would definitely have all the curse words engraved on it, scolding him for not being the same for 3 days. Li Changhao felt a chill go down his spine. Mr. Yun didn't notice that he was still a man who was determined to retaliate. They must treat Mr. Yun well and enthusiastically, and they must not make him unhappy. Thinking about being called a fool for 3 days, he would never be able to bear such a scene, but now that the person being scolded was the enemy, Li Changhao suddenly couldn't help but want to laugh proudly. Thank you Mr. Yun for your help. Li Changhao did not get carried away. If Mr. Yun had not taken action, they would have been followed all the way, and they would have been robbed and hunted at any time. Yan Xiangluo said indifferently, it just bumped into my hand and aroused my interest. The implication is very clear. She is not someone who helps others randomly. It just happened that this matter aroused her interest and she helped. Although Yan Xiangluo wanted to help them, She didn't want to be relied on by them.